I suggested we open our relationship. He said yes and then disappeared.
Have you ever felt the urge to do something that was always on your mind and let loose? Well, letting yourself go and you're letting your mind take control without discipline and do what you've always wanted to do. Well, I had thought I was making myself feel alive again. I wanted to have that feeling that everyone has, a feeling of being free again. I wanted to remind myself that you can also let loose or have fun while you are married. Have you ever shared your deepest desires with someone, only to have them disappear from your life? Imagine telling someone you love that you want a future together, but with the freedom to explore connections with others. That's what happened to me. I opened up about my need for an open relationship, hoping for understanding and acceptance. Instead, he vanished without a trace, leaving me wondering what went wrong. One thing about me is that I always say what I feel, without even care of how you would receive it and what you would do about it, but as long as I have told you what I wanted you to know. But in this case, it was different. I didn't expect him to act the way he did. I had thought that if I open up to him and tell him how I feel, he would understand and somehow sit down with me and discuss the issue at hand in a civil way. Instead, he just packed and left to only God knows where. I just couldn't believe him. I mean, yes, I loved him, but why would he act so childish? I mean, because most people nowadays, especially women, no longer be themselves when they get married. Some lose themselves to a point that they make marriages look like it's a union to someone's true self. Some end up regretting ever getting married because they would no longer be allowed to do things that had made them happy. They become people they are not, which kills most of our married sisters. It does not feel free when you get married. This took a lot of bravery to share, so I only accept advice and not judgments. They call me Veronica Cooper, female 27, and my husband is Mike Andrews, male 37. We first met at a golf club estate. There was a business meeting that they had at the estate while playing gold. I was a waitress for the day. Well, I was studying towards my master's degree in psychology, so I was doing a side job while I was studying so that Elle would be able to make ends meet and be able to pay for my studies. That day, I was assigned to work on the field making sure that the business gurus were well taken care of and they had everything that they needed. So as I was catering for them, I slightly made a mistake. I missed a step, and the drink that I was holding accidentally fell on one of the businessmen's lap. The guy shouted at me and called me stupid and other harsh names. I tried apologizing, but the guy wasn't having it and he was a blazing fire. Mike came to my rescue and spoke with the guy, telling him that it was a mistake and he will pay for the damage that I had done to the guy's golfing short pants. I didn't know what to say, so I just thanked Mike for the rescue. That day was the toughest day in my working history. I felt so belittled, humiliated, embarrassed, and stupid. It's really hard being a waitress because you always have to put a smile on your face, even if you are not feeling well. Or if a customer didn't like what you have served them, then they call you names and stupid. It's really hard working under the term of a customer is always right, even if they are the ones at fault. Some managers end up firing a waitress because of a customer's complaint and telling the manager that your service is bad. It's hard to always try to be calm and keep on smiling even when the situation doesn't allow you. But because you need the job, you have to follow the rules and put your feelings aside. Anyway, as I kept apologizing to the arrogant businessman, Mike told me to stop apologizing and go continue with my work. I won't lie, I was relieved when I was away from that arrogant man. Later on, Mike came to my working station and apologized for how his associate behaved, but I would have to help him clean that man's golfing shorts since I'm the one who missed a step and poured an orange juice on his white golfing shorts. As much as it was going to cost me almost all my salary, but I knew I had to clean up that man's shorts no matter what. Mike then asked him to give him my number so that he can call me when we have to go and clean the golfing short pants. I hesitated at first. I mean, I was only 20 years and I think he was 30 at that time. I eventually gave him my number because the guy was going to help me clean the arrogant man's short pants. He called after 2 days, mind you. At that time, I was thinking, how was I going to afford golfing pants? Or how was I going to get money to clean it? I met up with Mike at the mall. The guy bought new golfing short pants for the arrogant man. Since then, we got along. We would chat more through WhatsApp. Mike was a sweet, loving, and caring man who liked being cocky. He was just a breath of fresh air, a best friend, a good advisor, and an awesome lunch dates partner. 2 months after he told me that he couldn't hold himself anymore, he needed someone to grow old with. At first, I didn't understand what he was saying until he asked me to be his girlfriend officially. I was just lost for words. I mean, the guy is afforded and has everything that he wants and needs, so why would he want to have a girlfriend as simple as me? So we dated for like 8 months, and I can actually say that it was just everything and more. During those months, he had taken me to meet with his parents. They were such a welcoming and loving family, especially his mother. Oh, that woman is such a sweetheart with a good heart. And not to mention his sister, she was just a breath of fresh air. She had the vibe that I actually needed, and she was my age, which was a bonus. Well, I didn't have any friends, so Mike's sister became the best friend I had ever had. My relationship with Mike was just a bliss, and it was actually what I had been praying for. He was like my answered prayers, not knowing that the guy actually had anger issues and bipolar disorder. Mike would always make sure that I was happy, secured, and had everything that I needed. The guy even paid for tuition fees, imagine, and I will forever be grateful for what he had done to me. Well, since I do not have any family members in Woodlands, Singapore, it was hard for me to take Mike home to my family, but I had introduced him to them via Skype, which helped a lot. After a year, I think Mike proposed and I said yes, but I had my terms and conditions. He got confused when I said that I had terms and conditions, but he listened to me. I actually regret even starting to address my desires to him because I didn't like the outcome of it. It actually made me feel like I had driven the love of my life away because of my greed and desires. I won't lie. I needed what I needed in a relationship. I was still young, so I needed to explore some things. After years of dating, we decided to tie the knot. I was the happiest woman ever. Months went by and I was starting to feel a little bored, especially when my husband is always away on his golfing trips, his part of the Golf Nation tournament. I always get tempted to go out clubbing and doing something crazy and let loose just a bit before I reach my 30s, but I always contain myself and not go out at all. I would discipline myself. My temptation ends being a thought. But there was a time when my husband left for a golfing trip. I could resist the urge of going out with my friends from college. I saw that as the perfect opportunity to break free from the monotony of my married life and have a little fun. So I started by cleaning the house and doing some much-needed grocery shopping. But as the day went on, I found myself feeling more and more restless. I felt the urge of wanting to let loose a little. I needed to open my relationship with Mike, but I didn't know how and where I could start addressing the issue or breaking the news to him. I didn't know how he would react, and I was scared of the outcome. I had so many what-ifs in my head, but I knew I needed to tell him about my desires. After a lot of thought, I decided to call the girl that I was working with. Her name is Prudence, female, 29. Prudence and I were attending the same university, and she is the one who introduced me to the manager of the restaurant and catering company that I was working in. That's how we got along, so I called her and asked her to join me on a date. Luckily, she agreed and told me that she wanted to introduce me to a new restaurant and a chilling spot that had recently opened not far from where we worked. So we agreed to meet in town so that she would take me to that new spot. Little did I know that the girl actually wanted to take me to the club. I didn't ask any questions because I trusted Prudence, and I knew that she wouldn't take me to a place that harms me or gets me in trouble with my husband. I really thought we were just going to eat, have a few drinks, then later on, before the sun sets, we would part ways. But that wasn't the case with Prudence. Later on, Prudence and I met and we had our lunch, then decided to drink while I told her about my desires and how my husband had been absent lately. We drank and ended up enjoying the good music and the vibe. We had a couple of drinks and two guys came to us and asked us to join them. Because of Prudence's forwardness, she accepted the guy's request of joining them when things would get hectic. One of the guys approached me and started giving me compliments. He was very charming and a bit handsome, younger than me, probably 25. Prudence then suddenly said, "Let's move the party elsewhere." But how I wish she didn't say that, but I couldn't predict what was about to happen. I wanted to refuse, but at some point I didn't want to leave Prudence with unknown guys that we had recently known, so I stayed and obeyed. I know that was a stupid move for me because I was married, but that time I had put my marriage life aside and went with the moment. We went to the Orchid Country Club Hotel, which was about 5 kilometers from the restaurant. As we were there drinking with the guys, I started to notice that there's 2 of us and 2 of them, meaning everyone had a partner. I started feeling a little uneasy as I was the only one married amongst these people, and they were so chilled. I won't lie, those guys were funny. The guy who was giving me a compliment came to me as I was gazing at the view outside. He introduced himself as Gary Lawrence, male, 25 or 6, I'm not sure. He had a way of making me feel comfortable. Well, this is when I realized I needed to loosen myself a bit as I was feeling a bit of guilt. We started to talk about life and conspiracies, and we realized we had something in common, and drinks kept on coming. The music kept on playing, and our conversation kept getting deeper, and I found myself drawn to his charming smile and kind eyes. He was just a breath of fresh air. We fell asleep on the couch cuddling each, and I was grateful that nothing happened to us. At first, I felt a mixture of guilt and excitement that nothing had happened, and I had an opportunity to let loose. I had never done anything like that before, and I wasn't sure if I could ever forgive myself, but nothing happened right. So why feel guilty when nothing has happened? So as the day went on, I found myself losing myself in the moment, and the guilt began to fade away. Our trip came to an end, and I knew that I had to go back to my boring house, plus my husband was coming back, so I had to go. When I got home, I had found my husband already back, which was a shock to me because I didn't expect him to be back earlier since I had also tried to be back earlier than him. Well, I guess he had beat the traffic. He asked where I was coming from, so I told him that I had gone to a night away with the girls. But I left the guy's part aside because if I had mentioned it, hell would have broken loose. Sometimes my husband and I would spend our weekends together, but it wasn't fun because he would always watch golf games and I would be sitting with him reading a book, which was purely boring for me. My mind was thinking about the trip that me and the girls had. I'd been feeling neglected by my husband for quite some time, even if he was around. He was always busy with work and his golfing games never seemed to have time for me. I felt like I was just a mere obligation to him, rather than a beloved partner. I won't lie and say the girls' night was boring because it wasn't. It was actually full of life and fun. I enjoyed every moment of it, and I wished I could turn back the hands of time and go back to that night. Months passed. My husband had been too occupied with work and his golfing games. To tell the truth, golf really bores me. There is actually no fun in it. It shows that it's a game for rich people. So one day, a guy from the trip texted me on Instagram. I was so shocked about why he would send me a text on my Instagram. But I didn't ask him anything, I just replied to his messages, which were actually a very good distraction because I was somehow bored at home. So he had asked me to accompany him to his friend's party. I hesitated at first because I didn't know what I would tell my husband. But God came through for me. And I really needed to get some air and let loose a little. I had been cooped up in the house for way too long. I had been itching to let loose and have some fun, but I didn't want to do anything that would jeopardize our marriage. So that weekend was a great opportunity for me to let loose a little. As soon as my husband was gone, I decided to take advantage of the situation. I put on my favorite dress, did my hair and makeup, and waited for Harold to come and fetch me because that was the plan. When we got there, I felt the vibe already. There were so many people, and I guess it was friends and maybe colleagues. I spotted his friends that I had met during that night. They were with their partners who were very much friendly and full of fun. The music was blasting. Everyone was having their good time, minding their own business, and that was what I really needed. It felt so liberating to be able to be myself without worrying about what my husband would think. The next day, I woke up feeling a bit hungover and regretful. I had a bit too much to drink the night before, and I was worried that my husband would notice when he got back. But as I looked in the mirror, I saw a confident and carefree version of myself staring back. I realized that I didn't need to be perfect all the time, and that it was okay to let loose and have fun. Over the next few days, I continued to explore my newfound freedom whenever my husband was either at work or went golfing. I continued chatting and going out with Gary. He made me feel so much alive, as he also introduced me to new clubs around Woodlands. I knew from there that I had found my real self. I had finally found the person I had always wanted to be. Yes, my friend Prudence and I would go out, but she respected my husband, so they didn't want to be on his bad books. My friends treat Mike like he was a god or something. Sometimes I would think she was fooling him or me to think that she respected my marriage. One happy morning, I woke up happy and in a great mood that weekend. Simon and I had a very steamy and loving, intimate moment the previous night. We had a lot of lovemaking. So I decided to wake up early to prepare a nice breakfast for my husband so we would get ready for the day, as we had planned to go out together to pamper ourselves and try to bring back the spark that we once had before we got married. I had planned everything, you know. I was so happy that I was going to spend time with my husband after a long time of him always going out. So that morning he came down the stairs wearing his golfing clothes and came down with his kit. I didn't understand why he was wearing that, so I asked why he was wearing his golfing clothes while we had plans for the day. He just gave me a very lousy excuse and told me that his golf buddies had texted him and told him about the game that was taking place on the very same day that was supposed to be our day. My mood just instantly went down the drain. I was so angry at him, but I was also angry at myself for thinking that Mike was actually going to choose me for one, and not his golfing games or his buddies. I mean, why would someone promise to spend time with you and even reassure you that the day was only for us, and we were going to switch off our phones so that we would not get any disturbances? But his big head switched on his phone and got his buddy's message about a certain game that was taking place just when we had planned something else. He had reassured me that he would be available for lunch and dinner. Later on, I had a hope that Mike would have been back and we would continue with our day like we had planned. So I decided to cook all of his favorites for dinner. I had really missed my husband, and that time was the only perfect time to tell my husband Mike about my desires. So I prepared everything and even texted to come back home earlier. I knew that when I deliver my issue of desires, he would not act like any normal person would, but I just didn't know the consequences that would come with the fact that I had told him about my desires. He came back earlier just like I had asked him to. So we ate over a light conversation, and I knew that it was time to drop the bomb and address the elephant in the room, with the hope that he would somehow understand why I needed what I needed. So after we had dinner, I asked to speak to him before he went to bed. So I told him that I really wanted to grow old with him and start a family, you know. I told him and reassured him that what I was about to tell him didn't mean that there was something that had changed between us, because there wasn't anything. I literally said, "I've been thinking." That's how I began. My voice was hesitant yet determined. "I love you more than words can express, Mike, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you." His eyes softened, a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "I feel the same way, Ronnie." That's how he would call my name. "You're my everything." I then took a deep breath, gathering my courage. But I also felt like there's a part of me that's restless, that craves something more. I want to explore, to experience different things, but I don't want to lose you. I want an open relationship. Mike's expression faltered, surprise mingling with uncertainty. "An open relationship?" I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. "Yes, I want us to be honest with each other, to communicate openly about our desires and needs. I still want you in my life, Mike, but I need the freedom to grow, to discover who I am outside of our relationship." Silence stretched between us. The weight of what I had said really made things difficult for me. Plus, Mike just went on a quiet mode. Finally, Mike spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know if I can do that, Ronnie. I thought we were meant to be together, just us against the world." Tears welled up in my eyes as she reached for Mike's hand. It was harder than I had anticipated. "Please, Mike, this doesn't change how much I love you, but I need this. I need to explore this part of myself." Mike roughly withdrew his hand, his gaze distant. "I need some time to think, Veronica. I can't promise anything right now." I knew that our relationship was hanging down the hill, so I had to expect anything from Mike. So I first dropped the bomb of the fact that I wanted us to explore new ventures. So I suggested that we would open our relationship to any opportunities that would come with that statement. He calmly asked why I wanted to open our relationship, and I knew that when he was that calm, it meant only one thing. He was angry, and I should expect him to do or say anything because of his anger. I furthered by telling him that I was ready to start our family, and I won't lie, I was ready to give him the child that he had always wanted. I basically told him that if he agrees that we open our relationship, then we would or should start planning for our child. After I told him all about my desires and what can actually help our marriage to have that spark. Our marriage was already in shambles, already in a very hard rocking place, so I had to find a solution that would help us. He didn't want to hear anything after that. He suspected that I had been cheating on him and assumed that since I wanted us to open our marriage or relationship, I was already cheating on him. I tried explaining everything in detail to him, but he just didn't want to hear it, to the point that he ended up calling me names and told me that if he ever found out that I had cheated on him, he would make sure that I suffer for the rest of my life. I just didn't understand why he was suddenly angry for addressing the underlying problem that we were facing, and told him about my desires. We had a very heated argument that led us to even go to bed angry at each other. I really thought Mike was being unfair and inconsiderate of my needs, but I couldn't tell that because he was already enraged and ready to attack. I gave him some space to at least digest what I had just told him, hoping that he would wake up the following day better, and we would have a civil conversation like adults and married couples. The following day, he woke up early and prepared for work. I tried making a conversation with him, but he didn't want anything to do with me because he didn't even eat his breakfast that I had made for him. I really thought that Mike was actually very childish and inconsiderate. I mean, why would I stay in an unhappy marriage? Or maybe let me not say unhappy but unsatisfied marriage while I knew that I had to address the issue with my partner. I actually respected him enough to cheat and open my marriage or relationship without his permission. That day, I decided to just go out to get some fresh air, and maybe by later Mike would come home calm, so that we would continue with the conversation. Later on, Mike was back from work, so Mike came to the living room looking like he was ready to kill. His face and body language was full of rage, I couldn't even think that he might have found out about my abomination. So he looked at me with eyes full of rage, hurt, and disappointment. He asked to speak with me on the side. Without thinking about what would have made him so angry, I followed him to our bedroom. When we got there, he threw a phone at me. I got confused about why he would throw a phone at me, so I looked at him hoping to get the answer I had been asking myself. Instead, he told me to press play on the video that was posted on Twitter, so I did as told without thinking again because I wanted to see what had made my husband angry. When I pressed play, I got the shock of my life. Harold had posted a video of him and me making out at his friend's house. Worst part, the video was even trending. I was trembling and shaking. I was lost for words. I couldn't even utter the apology because I didn't know what was happening. I had thought that nothing had happened between Gary and I, so the video really confused me, and why do I not remember anything? The way Mike was super upset and asked if that was the reason why I had wanted to open our marriage so that I could do those nasty things. My heart was beating so fast like I was having either a panic attack or a minor heart attack. What made my blood rush like that was the fact that I didn't remember anything, and who would have been that heatless to post such a video on social media? I felt my reputation, my dignity, and my image being ruined. I just didn't know how to react to the video, so I just decided to go to the park to unwind and at least try to calm down. When I went back to the house after like 4 or 5 hours that I had spent in the park trying to digest and think about the video that was trending, and the fact that I didn't remember anything, I wanted to know who would have leaked that video. I knew that I needed to find out. But the revelations really shocked me to the core. Okay, so when I got home, Mike wasn't there. I called out his name all around the house and even tried to call him, but nothing. His phone was suddenly off and it was taking me straight to voicemail. I left him a lot of messages, voice messages, and text messages. He actually left me a letter that stated that I should sleep with one eye because I had made him and he was going to destroy me, which got me really scared because I didn't know what he was referring to and what he would do. Never trust an angry lion because it can bite you roughly to a point that you would eventually find yourself useless and want to end things or disappear. And with the words that I had said, Mike vanished from Woodlands, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and shattered dreams. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but there was no sign of him. I searched every corner of our small town, hoping for a glimpse of his familiar face, but he remained elusive, as if swallowed by the vastness of the world beyond. I tried calling again, but still the same results. My mind was racing and my heart was pounding so much I felt myself suffocating, but I knew that I had to first find Mike so that I would explain to him what had happened the following night. I tried tracking his phone using my computer because we had that agreement of tracking each other's whereabouts, using either our phones or car trackers. When I checked, I found out that his phone was off and his car was actually in the garage, meaning he had left the car. 2 weeks later, I had even given up on looking for Mike. I was worried about him. I won't lie because he had left without saying anything besides the threatening letter that he left. So I decided to go to the shops and buy some house essentials and groceries. As I was busy putting things in a trolley, I bumped into Gary. I got furious once again and confronted him about the video. He told me that his friend was the one who had leaked the video with help of his new girlfriend, Prudence. I just couldn't believe it, you know. I had really thought that Prudence had my back, but clearly she was just a snake in a sheepskin. Another thing that made me scared was the fact that I knew that Mike's sister had seen the video, and I was sure that the parents also knew, so I had destroyed the kind of relationship that I had with Mike's parents. Later on, I decided to go to Mike's home to look for him and apologize for the heartache that I had caused the family and the shame that I had caused my husband. I didn't know what I would say to Mike's sister. I just opted to apologize to the parents only. Unfortunately, when I got there, Mike was not home. His mother told me that he hadn't been at home for a month, so they didn't know where he had gone. I got really worried about Mike and felt guilty of the things that had happened. Later on, about like a week later, I received a notification stating that someone had withdrawn money from my offshore account and my life savings account. Mind you, that time I didn't even notice that my cards were gone. I panicked and thought that I was being scammed or something. As if that wasn't enough, a truck came. Well, a big truck, and repossessed the cars that were in the garage. My car along with Mike's. I asked why they were taking the cars. They told me that they were reported as stolen and they were no longer getting paid for. I just couldn't believe it, you know. I tried calling Mike again, but it was still not going through until I decided to just give up. I went straight into a depressing state and I really thought I was going to lose myself at that time. After the cars were gone, I received divorce papers stating that the owner of the house wanted me gone within 2 days. My health was not giving me any hope because everything was just too much. I had lost the only person who had shown me genuine love. I was happy in my marriage, but my greed and desires clouded all the good things that Mike had done for me. I knew that I had to think of where I was going to go because I had no relatives in Singapore, so I had to try and make means to get home in England. Luckily, Mike had taught me to keep some cash in a safe place just in case I get in trouble or something happens. So I took that money and bought a plane ticket. I just couldn't stay any longer in Singapore. I had thought that I was done with everything that made me move to Singapore. I had gone there to study, and I did with the help of Mike. I completed my master's degree in psychology. I left Singapore with a heavy heart. I had never thought that my desires would actually lead me to that kind of stage in life. I lost the love of my life. He just vanished from our town, and I really wanted to know where he was and if he was okay. That's what happened to me. I laid my heart on the line, expressing my hopes and needs. Instead of understanding or discussing it further, he chose to vanish from our town without a word. It left me questioning everything, the sincerity of his feelings, the strength of our connection. I was left with a mix of emotions, hurt, confusion, and a tinge of anger. But through it all, I realized the importance of being true to myself and my needs, even if it means facing difficult outcomes. As time passed, I learned to live with the ache in my heart, the bittersweet reminder of a love that was once so pure and unyielding. And though Mike was no longer by my side, I held on to the memories that we shared, grateful for the time we had together, however fleeting it may have been. I really thought Mike would understand my problems, but I now regret even opening my mouth and confessing about my desires. I really don't know where to start looking for Mike because I feel like I owe him an apology for the heartache that I had caused. Do you guys think he can maybe forgive me and give me a chance to at least mend our relationship after what had happened? I truly regret what I had done to Mike. I need any advice that you can give me. Please assist me. I'm drowning, really. My wife ran away immediately. I told her I wanted a divorce just so she can stay married to me. I have never hated living in North Carolina like I do now. The laws that guide the divorce are making it extremely difficult for me to get out of this sham of a marriage with my alcohol-addicted wife. I just found out that she cheated on me, and now I want our marriage to end. The only problem is that even if I file for divorce now, I'll have to stay married to her for up to 1 more year while we live separately. She knows this, and that's why she confidently believes that I would never try divorcing her. Her ego and self-confidence in this matter is what is making me more determined to divorce her as fast as I can. I can't stand the thought of giving her an upper hand in this situation. I'm repulsed by the possibility of her thinking she has a hold of me. I'm ready to show that cheating woman that I'm more than ready to divorce her immediately. My name is Mason, and I'm a 31-year-old artist from North Carolina, USA. I also make and trade NFTs. I live in Asheville, which is a very large city in North Carolina. I'm married to Ava, and she's a 31-year-old artist from North Carolina, too. Yes, my wife and I are artists. In fact, that's how we met. Ava and I met at an art exhibition 5 years ago, and the rest is history. I'll be truly honest with you guys. I'm finding it hard to write this story. I've never done something like this before, but I have to do this so I can keep being sane. I've been itching to share this exhausting story of mine with someone. But as a man, there are some things that aren't expected of you. It's easier sharing things like this with strangers that do not know you and can't really judge you than sharing this with friends or colleagues that would never look at you the same way. LOL, as if I can control the narrative of what another person does. I found out Ava cheated on me 2 weeks ago, and everything has literally gone downhill from there. I got back from work early and found used protection in the waste bin. She had slept off on the couch after taking too much alcohol. Yes, Ava is practically an alcohol addict. Before you judge me, let me tell you the truth. I didn't know Ava was addicted to alcohol until the 2nd year of our marriage, and we've been married for 4 years now. 2 years ago, after we left the art exhibition she organized, I caught her practically gulping down alcohol in the toilet. I know how disgusting that sounds, and trust me, I was disgusted too. I asked her why she was doing that, and she told me that the stress from planning her art exhibition and making the art pieces perfect had taken a toll on her. I didn't like the idea that she was stress drinking, but I understood her plight since I am an artist too, and I'm aware of how the tension can get under your skin. I told her there was nothing wrong in feeling stressed and that she didn't need to drink in the toilet or hide from me. I was very surprised that day because even though we went to clubs, Ava never drank alcohol. She always told me that she hated it. Well, I later discovered that she had an alcohol problem before we met and had gone to rehab. That's why she abstained when we met up to 2 years into our marriage before she got back to her addiction. Ava drank occasionally after that, but it was never serious. But it got worse 1 year ago, and I tried taking her back to rehab, but she refused. I didn't want to be the coward who left his wife at the most traumatizing moment in her life, so I tried my best to help her. I swore never to give up on helping her, but now I've realized that she took my generosity for kindness and is now cheating on me. I have been patient with Ava on many things. I don't understand why she would ever think of cheating on me. It's because of her alcohol problem that we decided not to try getting pregnant until she goes to rehab. That day when I got back from work and found her collapsed on the couch after drinking, I didn't expect to see used protection in the waste bin. I was 100% sure that I wasn't the one that used the protection. Most times after coming back from my work studio, Ava was drunk or she had a hangover. I couldn't sleep with her in that kind of state, so we haven't been together romantically for almost 2 months now. That's why seeing the used protection in the waste bin only meant she was cheating on me. I was very angry, and I am still very angry. I didn't mind tolerating all her flaws before because I know I'm not perfect too, and marriage is all about tolerating each other and accepting each other's flaws. But cheating is a flaw that I will never be willing to accept. The fact that Ava could cheat on me even after everything I have been through with her and how I have stood by her just goes to show how messed up people are. To what extent does someone have to really go before they get back the amount of respect they deserve? That night, Ava was still drunk, so I waited for her to get up in the morning. I wasted no time before I confronted her and demanded answers. Ava didn't recognize my claims. She insisted that the protection I'd seen in the waste bin was the ones we'd used more than 2 months ago. Can you believe just how stupid she thought I was? I refused to believe what she said and warned her to tell me the truth. Ava resisted all my advances and tried swaying me with her words. I don't tolerate betrayal, so I went outside the house and asked our gatekeeper, Luke, for the truth. He used to work for my parents before they moved to California, so he's basically my family friend. I didn't doubt his ability to be honest with me, and that's why I asked him to tell me the truth. Just like I suspected, he told me that a particular man had come to see Ava twice within the range of 3 days. I asked him if that same man came the day before, which was the day I found the protection in the waste bin. Luke affirmed that the same man had visited the day before. I thanked him before driving out of the house immediately. For the first 30 minutes, I just drove around the city and didn't stop anywhere in particular. I was engaged and needed to cool my temper. I finally stopped at a gym, and that was where I transferred all my aggression to the punching bag. I was very angry and didn't want to have a conversation with Ava in that state because I didn't trust what I might have ended up doing. When I got back to the house, I'd already made up my mind. There were no two ways about it. I knew that I wanted a divorce from Ava immediately. When I got to the house, she was busy having lunch like nothing happened. I didn't waste any time. I told her we needed a divorce immediately and that I could not forgive the fact that she cheated on me. At first, she tried saying she got drunk and blah, blah, blah. But when she noticed that I was not ready to change my decision, her true colors finally came out. I couldn't even recognize Ava again. Sure, I'd seen her in some of the worst phases of her life, but I'd never seen her in that evil state. She talked like a selfish person and acted nonchalant about cheating on me. She claimed that I stopped getting intimate with her, so she cheated. I had to do a double take and make sure I heard her twice. I didn't touch her for her own good. She was drunk every night, for crying out loud. And, excuse me? No one wants to get intimate with someone who could throw up any time. For her to accuse me of neglecting her and using that as an excuse for cheating gave me all the affirmation I needed. I needed to run from the marriage, not even walk out. I made it clear to her that I was going to file for divorce, and I gave her 2 days to leave the house. Trust me, that was just me being generous. I thought I'd gotten the biggest shock and betrayal of my life, and I honestly believed that there was nothing anyone could do to hurt me after what Ava had done. But I guess tell God your plans and watch him laugh, right? Ava did the worst thing possible the next day. I've never hated anyone this much, and after what she did, I don't think I can ever stand her presence. When I woke up the next morning, Ava was making breakfast. She slept in the living room while I slept in the room. Of course, I didn't leave my room for her. That's never going to happen. Ava didn't offer me breakfast, and I didn't care to ask. I planned on eating at a restaurant before going to work. I left for work after getting ready. Ava and I didn't speak or even greet each other. Even now, if you ask me what she wore that morning, I do not know because I couldn't stand her presence or bring myself to look at her in the face. After I got back from work that day, I realized that I'd been living with a scheming, conniving woman for over 4 years. Ava was nowhere to be found in the house, and all her things were gone. Her closet was practically empty, and not even a pair of shoes that belonged to her was left. Ava had left the house that day. I know you all are thinking that there's nothing wrong with that, and I should be happy that she left before the deadline I gave her. Well, I thought so too and didn't think there was any need for alarm. That was until the very next day, and the day after that, and 5 days later after, I continuously tried to reach out to her, and she never picked up. I had no idea where she was. The reason it was so important to see her is because we were still married, and I needed to file for divorce. After days of trying, I decided to go ask her best friend where she was. It took a lot of persuasion before her best friend finally told me that Ava had left North Carolina. Yes, you guys, I'm not joking. Ava left North Carolina without letting me know. I felt like running crazy the moment I found out. It was very shocking and I was practically spooked. Her best friend refused to tell me where she traveled to, and Ava refused to pick any of her calls or reply to her texts. I was very worried because I knew what she was trying to do. She had to be present to sign the papers when I eventually brought them to her. I was tired of keeping everything to myself, so I decided to go speak to my lawyer. I told him everything that had transpired, and that was when I got even more angry. Ava planned out everything from the get-go. She didn't just live because she wanted to. She left because she knew the rules that guide getting a divorce in North Carolina. Ava wants to keep me stuck in this marriage, so she ran away. My lawyer told me that one of the rules of getting divorced in North Carolina clearly states that one of the couples must have been living in North Carolina for 6 months prior to filing for divorce. I'd gone on a trip 3 months before I discovered Ava was cheating on me. That automatically meant that none of us had resided in North Carolina for 6 months straight yet. I hadn't even filed for divorce by then yet. There is also another rule that states that we both have to live separately for a whole year before filing for an absolute divorce. I cannot stand staying married to Ava for 1 more year. I just can't do it, and the thought alone is enough to make me boil with anger. The fact that Ava was aware of all this yet she decided to run away just proves that she is an excuse for a woman. My lawyer advised me to try my best to get her back in North Carolina so that we would only have to wait for a year before the divorce gets finalized. If I wanted to wait just 1 year, Ava needs to come back immediately or else everything would be in vain. She was trying to draw it out, and that was why she left. We also have a joint account, and that meant that she could still spend out of my money, and there was nothing I could do about it. The divorce in North Carolina doesn't really need one partner to prove why they need her divorce, but the other partner could try to draw it out. Ava knows exactly what she is doing, and she was trying to make sure that I didn't get a divorce. I took everything she did as a reason to be more ruthless and make sure I got the divorce. If only she knew that she's making me more determined, she would come back immediately. Even as I speak to you all right now, she's still somewhere unknown. I cannot get a hold of her, and not even her best friend is ready to reveal her location. I'm very impatient right now, and I'm not ready to play fair at all. I can swear that I'll do whatever it takes to make sure I get a divorce from Ava. She cheated, and now she wants to play the victim and hold the upper hand in the marriage? Maybe she thinks that I'll be patient with her just like I was patient with her alcohol addiction. I was just trying to honor the vows I made. But now that she broke the vows first, okay, more than ready to break the vows and do whatever it takes to teach her a lesson. I've decided to start with her best friend. The name of her best friend is Francia, and she has been at the house a couple of times. I know that she's the only one aware of Ava's location, so I'm determined to make sure I get the truth out of her. I don't care how I do it or if she tries to request something else. I know Francia fancies me even though she's trying to be respectful just because of her best friend. I don't care for Ava anymore, so a little scandal wouldn't hurt. I'm going to figure something out, so I'll update you all soon. Update. Another update today. I hope you all have braces yourselves because it's about to get really messy. Broken vows and broken friendships are the most complicated thing anyone can ever be involved in. It's not my fault that I found myself in the midst of a broken friendship. I guess the drama just found me. I had to do what I had to do. So guys, I know you're all wondering what friendship I've seemingly broken. Well, it's the friendship between Ava and Francia. Yes, I did a bad thing, but I don't regret it. Ava deserves everything she's getting, and it's a shame that I've only just gotten started. How do I say this without sounding like an evil person? Well, I'll just say it as it is without mincing words. So, I decided to go to Francia and ask her for Ava's location one more time. I didn't have a particular plan in mind. I was just determined to get the truth no matter what. Francia spent minutes telling me how difficult what I was asking was. She made it clear that Ava warned her not to reveal her whereabouts. I listened to her, but I didn't leave. I told her I was not going to leave until she told me the truth. It was very stressful, and Francia was initially a hard nut to crack. But after another hour of unnecessary conversations and back and forths, Francia agreed to tell me where Ava ran off to on the condition that I went on a date with her. If you're shocked, I was even more shocked. I used to suspect that Francia was shy around me and would often blush, but I never really thought it was anything serious. When I said she fancied me in the last update, that was just me trying to be cocky. I never really thought it would get as far as it went, but I guess things are unpredictable. I was desperate to know where Ava ran off to, and I also didn't mind entertaining Francia if it would give Ava a taste of her own medicine. If not for legalities, my marriage was practically over. I wasn't ready to play fair, and I didn't mind making the game Ava started playing dirty. She's the one who confidently thinks that I'll never be able to get a divorce from her. Well, she has another thing coming. So, I went on a date with Francia, and after that, we went on another date. In fact, she told me where Ava ran off to on the very first date. I could have stopped seeing her back then, but I wanted to see where the date was headed. We spent nights together, and she started calling me a lot. I was surprised to see that she had no problem doing that to her own best friend. But, in my own sick way, I was very happy about it. I discovered that Ava ran off to Florida to stay with one of her aunts. I was not ready to stress myself and go look for her. That was never the plan. I just wanted to know how far away she was so I could make sure she ran as fast as she could and got the next flight to North Carolina. Even though she was not picking my calls and had seemingly blocked my phone number, I knew of a way I could make it work. Social media is a very strong tool, and I feel like I'm a fool for only just realizing that now. I had Ava as my friend on Facebook, but my plan wasn't to message her directly. I decided to post pictures of me and Francia together. When I say pictures, believe me that they were very romantic pictures, and if I didn't know the dynamic, I would have believed that we were a real couple. After making that post, I had no way to know if Ava saw it because it wasn't a Facebook story. I wanted something that would last a long time and not just 24 hours only, so she could see it even when she was not online. Days went by and I really thought that I'd wasted my time. I didn't hear from Ava even after making that post, and I was about to start making other plans. But, just 3 days ago, my gatekeeper rushed into the house and told me Ava was at the gate and wanted to see me. It was at that moment that I knew that she had seen the most. Just like I'd expected, she rushed back as soon as she could just so she could find out exactly what has been going on behind her back. Of course, I asked the gatekeeper not to let her in. My main purpose of asking her to come back is not to see her or have a conversation with her. I need to get a divorce, and that's exactly what my plan is. I'd already filed for a divorce when she came back, and my lawyer said all we had to do was live separately for a full year before we can get an absolute divorce. Ava was and is still not aware that I'd filed for divorce. But it's important that I let her know, or else all my efforts would literally be in vain. The next day after Ava's arrival, I went to see Francia at her house. I don't know what to label my dynamic with Francia yet. She's cool and has a good vibe. I don't know if I plan on being in a serious relationship with her, though. I'm not hesitant because of Ava. In fact, I don't care about Ava's involvement in any of this. I'm just taking my time to analyze Francia and see if she's someone I'm interested in officially dating. For now, I'll just say we're having fun. I don't know if Ava followed me or she just happened to get to Francia's house at the same time as me. Anyway, we got there at the same time. She tried walking up to me, but I ignored her and got into the house. Francia wasn't aware of Ava's presence immediately because I didn't care to tell her, so he rushed to kiss me. I didn't mind returning the kiss. Ava happened to walk in at the same time and she decided to make a scene. Even as I write this, I'm still smiling in triumph. The look on her face was priceless. First of all, she looked like she needed a huge bath and it was obvious that she'd been stress drinking again. But, for the first time ever, I didn't care about any of that. I was done caring for her, and I'm still done caring for her, lol. Where did caring for her get me? She cheated and then tried to trap me in the marriage. She's practically like a stranger I never met, and I plan on things being that way forever. Ava tried to get her hands on Francia, and she actually scratched her face with her nails. But I didn't let her do more than that. Even though I didn't want to go anywhere close to her, I held her back and left some space between both of them. I noticed that Francia tried hiding in my back. Maybe she suddenly felt remorseful for her friend at that period, but it was none of my business. Just like the scheming woman Ava, she tried guilt-tripping Francia and accusing her of sleeping with her husband. At first, I was busy on my phone trying to call security, but I decided to stop when I heard Ava accusing me of cheating. Oh, that really caught my attention. It's her audacity for me. It was her audacity for me. Ava had the guts to accuse me of cheating after she single-handedly invited men into my house and deviled our marriage in the living room. Before that day, I used to wonder why our marriage had to end up in shambles, but that day I was immensely grateful to Ava for cheating on me. If she didn't cheat now, I'd have never known how wicked she was till it was too late. I'm glad that I literally dodged a bullet with her. My whole life could have been ruined if I just spent time taking care of a woman that couldn't control her alcohol and had the tendency to make poor choices confidently. She never told me of her alcohol problem while we dated. In fact, she didn't even drink alcohol at all and lied that she hated it. She practically tricked me into marrying her in the first place. Why couldn't she just say she went to rehab? No, she decided to be deceitful. But even after I found out the truth 2 years after our marriage, I'd been ready to forgive her and try to help her stop her addiction. I even had to wait so long to have a child because I knew she couldn't carry a child while she still found it hard to control her alcohol. But she chose to pay me back for my patience by cheating on me. I made it clear to Ava that I owed her no explanation. I refused to listen to her unnecessary speeches and made it known to her that I'd already filed for divorce. Ava was surprised when she heard me say that. Yes, she was really surprised to know that I went on with the divorce. She was so sure and confident that I was going to be stuck with her for life. Well, she definitely got the shock of her life from me that day because I made sure that I didn't mince any words. I told her that the divorce was happening whether she liked it or not. Ava held onto my collar and tried throwing herself at me. It was a very abnormal action and I had to control myself, or else I would have made the mistake of pushing her away. If I did that, I can assure you all that I didn't trust where she would have landed. She looked frail and weak, and it was obvious that she'd been wasting her time drinking again. If I pushed a person like that, I might end up being tagged as an abuser. So, I just grabbed her hands and took it off my collar. Ava didn't want to let me go. She kept calling me names and accusing me of making her life miserable. I don't know if she was aiming for emotional abuse, but none of it really worked on me. I'd made up my mind to cut all ties with her, and I did so with a big smile on my face. Her confidence about me never being able to divorce her had faded away, and she had to face reality quicker than she imagined. I know she felt like a fool for thinking she could tie me down to the marriage. She didn't expect how events turned out. I guess we both got the shock of our lives at the end of the day. Ava acted like she was going to go crazy right at that moment. Francia was scared and grabbed my hand. I knew that Ava was just trying to act out so I'd believe she was really hurt and try to take back my words. But, unfortunately for her, I didn't care about her drama at all. I personally grabbed her hand and dragged her out of Francia's house. Francia didn't have a gatekeeper because it was a joint estate. They only had one gate and Francia's house was quite far from the main gate. I told her she had to be very careful because Ava could show up anytime. I also told her to make sure she called the estate security anytime she needed help. That was all I did before I left her house that day. I had to go see my lawyer and discuss what our next steps would be. As an artist, I still have a lot of work to do. I don't work for anyone since I have my own studio, but I have people under me and we have clients. I also have an art exhibition coming up in 6 months' time, so I have to brace myself and get ready for work. I sell NFTs too, and it's something I've been obsessed with for a very long time. I'd spent so much time trying to get out of my marriage with Francia that I'd forgotten about how important my work is to me. I still need to make money, and that's why I've decided to focus on work and update you guys only when the divorce is finally finalized. So far, Francia and I have still been in contact and we meet up once in a while. I also have another girl I've had coffee with once. I really think that my hands are full, lol. I've got options. Honestly, I don't see anything wrong with that. After 4 years of staying married to a witch like Ava, I think it's okay to take my time when it comes to dating. I'm not trying to say that Francia is not a good choice. I don't just think I want to rush into a relationship with someone that's friends with Francia. They say birds of the same feather flock together, and I guess I'm not ready to meet the same birds twice. Well, I'll see how it goes. But, till then, I'll update you all when I hopefully get a full divorce from the witch. Update 2. I'm taking a very deep breath, guys, and I advise that you all do the same so you can brace yourselves before reading this update. I think it's been an interesting ride, even though it was a really big life-changing one for me. I mean, I had to adjust to a lot of things. But after 1 year and 6 months, I'm at a better place, and that's why I decided to make an update to this post now. I think the world is a place where one learns and grows at the same time. I did get a divorce, but it wasn't the easiest thing in the world. In fact, I'll say this, and I'll say it confidently. This divorce has been the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't hard because I found it hard to separate from Ava. Oh no. It was hard because I had to stay married to her for a full year after everything. Every day for that full year, I woke up angry and furious. But I had to be patient and follow the rules of North Carolina. At the end of the day, my patience was worth it, and I'm now a free man. Ava got the shock of her life on the last day our divorce was fully finalized. Even after a full year, she had been in denial and thought that the divorce wasn't going to happen. Unfortunately for her, reality ended up hitting her with a very loud bang. Even after everything she tried doing, all her efforts were in vain. When I saw her on that last day, I knew she was miserable. Even now, I get calls from people saying she is worsened. But none of that concerns me because I'm not the one who made the choices for her. I wasted 4 years of my life trying to make her a better person, but she threw all that away and cheated. Now she's going through the toughest phase in her life, and I've turned a blind eye to everything. I'm even more happy that I was able to get her back in more ways than one. Her best friend betrayed her and made a move on me. I got a divorce and she's broke. I know you all already know everything that happened in the last 2 updates, so I'll just tell you all how Ava tried to make sure the divorce didn't happen. Yes, she tried to sabotage it again. Recall that I mentioned having an arts exhibition coming up in the last update? Well, after months of preparation, the day came 1 year ago. At that time, I only had 6 months before the divorce was finalized. I'd blocked Ava's number and stopped the gatekeeper from letting her into my house, so I didn't see her for those full 6 months. But Ava suddenly showed up at my art exhibition. Yes, she showed up there and tried to cause a scene. I'd worked for that day for 6 whole months, and I literally had sleepless nights to make sure everything was perfect. I knew that there was no way I was going to let Ava ruin it. Even when she showed up, I told the security to stop her from coming in and instructed them to drag her out. After that, I didn't see her for almost an hour, and I believed that she'd gotten tired and eventually left. Unfortunately for me, I'd gotten too relaxed and had forgotten all about her not knowing that she was going to show up again. If the security got relaxed and didn't realize that she had sneaked in. It was a lot of drama, and I can still vividly remember how furious I'd been. She tried causing a scene and throwing a fit, so I threatened to call the police and have her arrested. She left after some of our mutual friends spoke to her. I didn't really care after that because I was able to use that incident to my advantage in court. It wasn't as messy as I thought it would be. Maybe that's because she suddenly realized that she was fighting a lost battle. On the last day of our divorce getting finalized, I'd been at my happiest in a long time. Just the thought of being free made me very happy. I was even more happy that I didn't have to see her face ever again after that day. That was a very big deal for me, and it was one of the reasons I dressed my best, lol. I didn't need a seer to tell me before I knew how defeated Ava was. She looked like she found it hard to accept the truth. I didn't really care, though. It just felt good to know that she was going through it alone. I was, and I'm never going to put myself in that situation again. I got back at her in the best way possible, and that full year of waiting was actually worth it, even though it was a frustrating year. After the divorce, I decided to take time off work and just live life as it comes for a while. I stopped seeing Francia because I don't want to commit to any relationship yet. I want to soak in this single life and do whatever I like. Francia tried to convince me, but I made it clear to her that my mind was made up. I've not really dated anyone seriously. I've just been trying to soak in the time I have off work. Talking of soaking things in, I'm currently on a relaxation trip. I decided to utilize my time and have as much fun as possible before going back to the crazy life of an artist. What a life-changing experience it has been. I, for one, will never forget everything that has happened. But I'm immensely grateful that everything that transpired did so early and not when it was too late. One thing I've come to realize is that no matter how bad something is, sometimes it's better to go through them fast and make the rest history. That's it, guys. I'm going back to enjoying my trip and hopefully I see a lady I like. Lol.